Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a review which is going to be super helpful for any streamers out there, because we're going to be looking at a couple of webcams today. One which is a great choice for brand new streamers who are just looking to get their first camera, and another for those who are looking to upgrade to a little bit more pricey high-end webcam. But today we are going to be comparing the Logitech C920 and the Logitech Brio. Let's get into it. Before we get into the video itself, I just want to remind everybody that I do stream over on Twitch every Monday to Friday at 7 PM BST, 2 PM EST. So if you have any questions about this or any of my other videos, anything stream related or tech related, feel free to come on by the stream and drop the question. I will leave a link down in the description for you guys. And this week, I am also doing something very special, and I am going to be streaming on this YouTube channel for the first time ever, which I am super excited about. So if you guys want to catch me live on here, feel free to come by this weekend. I will leave details down in the description for when you can see me live. With that, let's get into the video. Okay, so when it comes to streaming, one of the most important accessories that you can get yourself to make your streams look epic is a camera, because a lot of viewers like to go by people's streams and see the person who they are chatting with. It's a little window into the person's life. It gives it that little bit more of a personal feel, and it just means that you can have a bit more face-to-face interaction with your viewers, which I personally absolutely love. I love knowing that people can see me on the streams and interact with me and know exactly who they are talking to. So it's an incredibly important thing to get for your stream. You don't have to, of course. A lot of people do choose to stream without a camera, which is absolutely fine. I personally do enjoy streams with the camera a little bit more for that personal feel. But again, it's all just personal preference. But this video is going to help those people who are looking at which webcam they think they should get. So we're going to be looking, as I mentioned earlier today, at a couple of different webcams, the Logitech C920 and the Logitech Brio. Now, you are currently watching me on the Logitech Brio, as this is the main camera that I use personally for my streams and my videos, but that may not necessarily be the exact camera that you would like to get. So that is why we're going to be looking at both today, so that you can get yourself just a little bit more of choice to see which one you would prefer. So let's have a look at each camera individually. Okay, so in this part of the video, I'm going to address one of the most important questions that you guys may have right now, which is, why exactly is there a dining chair in the background of this video? And the honest answer is, I can't remember. I brought it in here for something to do with one of my streams, and it is now just lurking awkwardly in the background of the camera shot. I completely forgot it was there, and now I don't really know what to do with it. Should we just leave it there for the rest of the video, or should we move it? Let's just leave it there. It's effort to get up and move it. Anyway, back to the actual review. Alright, so first we're going to have a look at the Logitech Brio, which is the camera that you are watching me on right now. As I mentioned, that is my camera of choice. However, it was not my first camera. The C920 was actually the one that I got first. I upgraded it to the Brio when I decided I wanted something with a little bit more clarity and a little bit more functionality for my streams, just to make it have that little bit more of an edge. Now, the Brio itself is what you would describe as more of a premium kind of webcam. This one can stream in 4K, and it can also stream 1080p at 60 FPS, which in comparison to the C920 can also stream in 1080p, but only at 30 FPS. So that is something that the Brio does better than the C920. It also has a slightly wider field of view. As you can see when you're watching me right now, it has a 90-degree field of view compared to the C920's 78-degree. However, you can change this. As you can see here, this is now the 78-degree, and you can also change it to 65 degrees if you so choose. Now you can see me super up close, so I'm going to switch it back to 90 degrees. for the rest of this video. But as you can see, it has a bit more of a customization for your choice of whether you would like to see a much wider angle or a much more zoomed in, closer personal feel. It's entirely up to you. I myself have gone for the 90 degrees. I actually realized that I have been streaming using the 78-degree field of view for a very long time and didn't know how to change it to the 90-degree, but fortunately I actually found out just before this video and I was able to sort it, ready to film this. And I can show you now exactly how you can change that for yourself. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the Logitech Capture software, which you can download from the Logitech website to go with your camera. Now, as you can see, it says camera not available because I am currently using the camera inside of Streamlabs rather than in the software, and you can't use it in both. So that is the only reason that it is currently saying that the camera is not available. However, you can still customize the settings within your OBS or Streamlabs software through Logitech Capture. Now, as you can see, here are all of the settings down the side, which control everything about your camera. This is how I was changing the field of view. As you can see, it's zooming in and out as I choose each one. And there are plenty of other settings that you can have down here, which you can play around with to make your camera look absolutely fantastic. Now, it's entirely up to you. Again, it's completely personal preference with what settings you have. I have basically got mine on pretty much the standard settings that they came with when I first got the camera, because I haven't really felt any need to play around with it. But from the angles that I've shown you so far, you've seen that the camera is very crisp, very clear. It gives a lot of detail. Everything looks very nice. The color, the shadows, the contrast, the brightness, everything is already set very well. And it also has a very good autofocus feature, which I will show you now as well. Okay, so if I now hold the box for the camera up close, hopefully it should, maybe the light is gonna, there we go. So it has now focused onto the box. So that is in very good clear view. And then if I move this away, you can see the camera is automatically focusing back on me. It's a very good feature that this camera does very well compared to a lot of other cameras. Now, if you were looking to get yourself a Brio, unfortunately, at the moment, with everything that's been going on around the world with the virus, it would appear that the price of the camera has kind of skyrocketed. As you can see here, the current price on Amazon is $269.99, which is extremely expensive compared to what it used to be. As you can see here, I got mine in November and it cost me $109.99. So it does seem like they have marked their prices up quite a lot at the moment, and hopefully that will go back down, because that does seem extremely expensive for what you're getting. So like I mentioned, the Brio is much more of a premium webcam. It's more for people who are looking to upgrade to something without having to fork out thousands of pounds for a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. So this is basically the top end scale for the webcams. But for people who are just starting out as streamers and might be looking for something a little bit more budget because they don't quite have the money to throw at a much more pricey camera just yet, we can now look at Logitech's more budget and small streamer friendly camera, the C920. So now let's have a look at that one. Alright, so now you're looking at me through the Logitech C920, which is Logitech's more baseline, budget-friendly webcam. And what is pretty incredible about this webcam is that not only is it very, very good for the price that you are getting it for, but this camera actually came out back in January 2012 and is still seen as pretty much the industry standard for stream cameras, which is amazing. This technology is now 8 years old and it has not yet been surpassed by any other budget webcams. That is highly, highly impressive. And now we'll go into some more of the details of the camera so that you can see exactly why. So this camera can shoot in both 720p and 1080p at 30 FPS. In comparison to the Logitech Brio, that can shoot at 1080p in 60 FPS and in 4K at 30 FPS. But you're not really going to need to shoot in 4K when you're streaming, because nobody streams in 4K, and a lot of people don't even stream in 1080p. Now, you can't adjust the field of view with this camera. It is set to 78 degrees, which, as we saw earlier, is the mid-range setting on the Brio. However, you don't necessarily really need that much of a wide angle. I like having the 90-degree angle, even though I've only just discovered it for myself. But I do like the way that that looks compared to the 78 degree, but I am paying a much, much higher price to be able to do that. For the price that you're getting for this one, 78 degrees is brilliant for a webcam. You can see a nice amount of the room. I'm not squeezed into a little box, really. You can see there's plenty of room around the edges of the camera for me to wave my arms around and do all the crazy things that I normally do on my streams. So it is very, very good in this aspect. We'll put the two cameras next to each other a little later on so that you can actually see a side-by-side comparison of what the cameras actually look like. But looking at it right now, you can see that the camera quality is actually very nice. You can see me very clearly. You know, the range of movement is very good. The color balance is not absolutely amazing, but I've seen a lot worse on cameras. So that is something for me that sets this camera aside from many of the other cheap webcams on the market. Logitech have done a very good job of getting a crisp, very good quality picture out of this camera, which for the price that you're getting, again, is very good. So now I'm going to put both cameras side by side so that you can get an exact comparison of the pictures that you can generate from both cameras. So let's have a look at that now. So now we're looking at both of the cameras side by side, just so that you can get a comparison of the picture quality that comes from both of them. I have switched the Brio back to a 78 degree field of view, the same as the C920, just so that you can get a more accurate comparison. Now, if I put them side by side in terms of specs, so going back to it, the C920 can shoot in both 720p and 1080p at 30 frames per second with a field of view of 78 degrees. And the Brio can shoot in 1080p and 4K, 1080p at 60 FPS and 4K at 30 FPS. And it has a 65, 78 or 90 degree field of view, which is of course better than the C920. But now if you look at the actual picture quality, both cameras actually hold up really well. Brio, of course, does stand out as being more crisp, more clear. The color balance looks a lot more natural as well. But that is not a knock on the C920. The C920 actually holds up very, very well. So long as you have good lighting on you, the camera actually produces a really good, crisp, quality picture. So one of the main things that you're needing to look at, really, with the camera is making sure that you have some good quality lighting, because you're getting a really good camera for a really cheap price on a budget with the C920. And like I say, with some good lighting, it really holds up well in terms of picture quality. The Brio, of course, has that little bit extra because it can shoot in that much higher definition and everything looks a lot smoother, more natural. And of course, like I mentioned before, you can switch to a much wider field of view, which for a lot of streamers isn't really going to matter too much, because a lot of people stream in smaller areas, so they don't really need the extra field of view. And for most people, even if they stream in a bigger room, they don't really mind. I mean, like I showed, I'm not really having to box myself in. I mean, looking at the C920, 78 degrees field of view, I can move around quite a lot without going out of frame. As you can see in comparison on the Brio, it is a much wider field of view, so I can have a much wider range of movement without going out of the view of the camera. But like I say, that's not the most important thing that a lot of streamers are going to be looking for. And if it is something that you're interested in, then obviously the Brio is going to be much more to your taste. But like I say, both cameras are holding up very, very, very well. So I'm impressed with the quality of both Logitech cameras right now. One last thing that I do want to point out with this camera is that there are actually quite a lot of guides on places such as YouTube where people can help you to pick the perfect settings for your camera, which will actually make it look a lot higher quality than it actually is, which means that you're actually getting a really good camera looking like a much more expensive camera, but you're actually only paying a very small fraction of the price for the kind of picture quality you would expect. So that is something that you should definitely consider looking into if you end up getting yourself the C920. Now again, as with the Brio, it does look like the price of the camera has gone up quite a bit due to the coronavirus. The camera at the moment is in the £84 price range at the moment, which again is a lot higher because I bought mine for £54.99 around about October last year, I believe it was. So there has been a big markup in price again. I guess you're going to see that quite a lot at the moment. Hopefully it will reduce in price again, because this is very much one of the best budget cameras out there, and for the price you're actually getting an extremely good camera. So hopefully it will go back down to the price that it used to be. So there you have it. That is my review of both the Logitech Brio and the Logitech C920. Both cameras hold up extremely well, and they are both wonderful cameras to use as stream cams. Now, like I mentioned, the C920 is 8 years old and it is still seen as basically the standard camera really for streamers. It's the industry standard, and that is absolutely incredible. So after 8 whole years, 8-year-old technology, it must be doing something pretty damn good to be beating off all of the other companies. So if you're a brand new streamer looking for a first cheap budget webcam to get yourself for your streams, I would 100% recommend the C920. And if you are somebody who is looking to begin upgrading their camera but can't quite yet afford a mirrorless camera or a DSLR, then I would absolutely 100% go for the Logitech Brio. I hope that you have found this video educational and very helpful. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Or like I mentioned earlier, I do stream every Monday to Friday over on Twitch at 7 PM BST, 2 PM EST. So feel free to drop on by and ask any questions you have about the cameras or any of my other videos. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate all of your amazing support recently. Thank you guys very much, and I will catch you all in the next video. See you later, guys. Zoom. I'm really sorry. Oh god, it's stuck on my zoomed in face. There we go. I'm gonna leave.